Hi. Joining me now, Illinois Representative Mike Quigley, a member of the House Intelligence Committee. Congressman Quigley, always good to see you. Thank you so much for joining me here. Let's get into this because, as you know, the president said there's nothing wrong with listening if a foreign power offers information that could help you out in an election. And he also says that you can't know if it's bad unless you look at it. Is he right or wrong here?
Well, first of all, whether it's good or bad doesn't matter. It's something inherently of value, or at least that's how it's that's what you're told that it is, and that is, of course, illegal. What's troubling for me, and it's just so frustrating, is the special counsel was extraordinarily kind to the president. He bent over backwards, in his words, to be fair, not talking about obstruction, saying he couldn't go to trial to defend himself. But he's working with someone, the President of the United States, who isn't fair, who doesn't follow democratic norms, and violates the rule of law. So here we have it. And when he says that he has to see what it is first, I don't know how you compare the ethics of that to everyday life. If you find a wallet, you look in the wallet to see if there's a lot of money before you turn it in. It's wrong to do what he's suggesting. It's illegal. And finally, in a perverse way, perhaps what he's doing is defending the actions of his son and seeking out dirt on Hillary Clinton in the Trump Tower meeting and contacting and working with WikiLeaks surreptitiously. So he's saying, hey, you know, it wasn't illegal according to the special counsel. I was exonerated, and my son did it, so it must be okay.
Let's take a listen to something else the president said in his initial ABC interview. Here's that.
When somebody comes up with Oppo research, right, they come up with Oppo research. Oh, let's call the FBI. The FBI doesn't have enough agents to take care of it. But you go and talk honestly to congressmen. They all do it. They always have. And that's the way it is. It's called Oppo research.
Do you agree with the president on that?
Look, Democrat, Republican, Independent, I have never heard of a member of Congress saying or acting as if they would get information from a foreign adversary and not calling the FBI. Just this last week at an Intelligence Public Committee meeting, I asked a Republican witness, I said, all these contacts, would you have called the FBI? And he said, absolutely. It is the norm that I think every member of Congress agrees to. Do they do opposition research? Absolutely. It's to find out how that person voted. It's to find out if that person has a felony. I suspect that's fair game, however we view it in the world. But it's an entirely different thing for the President of the United States to say it's okay to get information from a foreign adversary who would benefit from his candidacy and accept that and say that it's okay. We've reached a new low.
Well, look, speaking of Republicans who think it's wrong, listen to Senator Lindsey Graham's response, who clearly disagrees with the president, but then had this to say about Democrats. Here that is.
I think it's a mistake. I think it's a mistake of law. I don't want to send a signal to encourage this. And I hope my Democrat colleagues will be equally offended by the fact that this actually did happen in 2016, where a foreign agent was paid for by a political party to gather opposition research. All those things are wrong.
Do you care to comment on that?
Not letting the truth get in the way of a good line. This is the Trump and his associates' way to attack this. They spin the stories of how this all began. It began as a counterintelligence investigation way beyond the Steele Memorandum or anything like it. It began when the FBI found out that through conduits, the Russians were trying to seek out the Trump campaign and tell them they had dirt on the Hillary Clinton campaign. The unanimous notion of the intelligence community, all 17 entities, as early as January of 2017, is that the Russians attacked our democratic process to help one candidate over another one, and they did it with a high level of certainty. I've been on the committee. This is my third term. I've never seen them have this level of certainty at a unanimous level. So the senator can say whatever he wants. Hopefully the truth will let out.
Let's go to the escalating tensions with Iran right now, sir, because we have the Trump administration saying that intelligence points to Iran as being responsible for that tanker attack in the Gulf of Oman. Iran, of course, denying any involvement. Germany, Norway, EU officials, they're also asking for more evidence. So do you have any worries that U.S. intelligence might have made a mistake?
I think my first concern is the fact that our allies out of the box don't trust us and they don't believe us. The fact that they want more information is extraordinarily important.
Do they not trust us and not believe us because the president puts forth rhetoric that suggests that he doesn't trust and he consistently undermines our intelligence community?
Well, he does that, and he also pulls out of treaties unilaterally. I think the rest of the world views put America first as something of an isolationist, selfish policy, and the Trump's extraordinary comments on foreign policy on an almost weekly basis also undermines the trust that they have in us. Putting aside the tanker attacks, it is the information leading up to this which I suspect has made our allies not trust anything that follows it. I mean, how surprised would anyone be that John Bolton would on a unilateral basis get us into a war with very, very questionable intelligence? That's what our allies are looking at. On the other hand, Iran does pose a threat in the region, and it is not outside the realm of possibilities that they were responsible for these attacks. For me, though, it is the lead up to this tension that the administration has to pull back on, putting the aircraft carriers out there, initially pulling out of the Iran deal, removing waivers on sanctions for our allies. These are all pressures. I think it's time, and I think our allies are looking at us, for people to take a deep breath, perhaps reread the Barbara Tuchman book about how the Great War started, the First World War. It is assuming that we understand how others will act given our actions. Right now, the Middle East is a tinderbox. It is dry kindling waiting for a spark.
Wow.
Every once in a while, a country has to put its ego in such a manner in its back pocket, or a lot of people die.
Illinois Democratic Congressman Mike Quigley, thank you so much.